Hello and welcome to Betfair Australia's exclusive preview of the 2023 Ryder Cup. I'm your host Tom Happell, and this week I'm joined by a man normally behind the camera, Harry Stanley. Harry, how are you, mate? And looking forward to a big Ryder Cup.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Tom. It's good to be on the other side of the camera for a change. Really looking forward to the Ryder Cup. This is probably, in my rankings, it's probably the third, just behind the Masters and the Open. I love this event.
I'd agree with that, yeah.
I think it brings a whole nother element of golf into it, being a team sport. I just can't wait for it.
I agree with that, mate. We'll kick off with, I suppose, a favourite memory of yours, Harry, from Ryder Cups in years gone by. There's been so many down the years, particularly in Europe. Have you got a favourite memory?
I have. When I saw this question that you put up, I went back and I was trying to think of one that really stuck out, and it was Ian Poulter's performance at the Miracle at Medina. I'll rattle off some things for you. He wins his first two matches with Justin Rose in the foursomes. Then he goes out in the final four balls match on Saturday with Rory McIlroy. He's paired with him, and they're against Jason Duffner and this year's captain, Zach Johnson.
A lot of pressure on them, wasn't there?
There was, and they were down. They really needed something to, at least keep them in the game at that point. Poulter goes out, he birdies the final 5 holes. He has a 15-footer left-to-right slider on 16, makes that. Then he hits it to 10 feet on the par 3 17th. Johnson hits it to 3 feet, so they've got a bird there. Then Poulter makes that putt, keeping them one up going to 18. And then on 18, Duffner hits it to 3 feet, guaranteeing birdie, and Poulter rolls in a 12-footer.
The postman,
they call him. Yeah, always delivers. And that was just unbelievable. Kept them in. They went into Sunday's matches 6 and 10 down, and then he wins his match against Webb Simpson in the singles. He went out second and set the tone for what was one of the great comebacks in Ryder Cup history.
Certainly, yeah. Poulter being one of the, I suppose, biggest showmen the Ryder Cup's ever seen. Fortunately, won't be seeing him this year because he's obviously on the live circuit now. But yeah, for me, I think Francesco Molinari's performance in Paris in 2018, teaming up with Tommy Fleetwood, or Mollywood as they were calling it back then, forged a great partnership together. Francesco went 5 from 5, and a bit like Poulter at Medina, was incredibly clutch that year. And Europe won that year 17.5 to 10.5 after going in as an underdog. So upsets can happen all the time, and we might see a repeat of that in 2023. But I suppose we'll kick off the show with a segment that we often do on AFL Trade Talk, Rapid Fire. So we'll kick off 3 questions each. Harry, would you like to take the new ball, mate?
Yes, sure, mate. So the first one I had for you was Ludwig Aberg. He's playing in his first Ryder Cup in his rookie season on tour. Debuted as a professional in June of this year. How do you think he'll perform?
Well, he's a generational talent, isn't he? I think that term gets thrown around a bit, but I think it's safe to say that Aberg fits well and truly under that category. He was offered a $2.5 million contract. Can you believe that, to join Live earlier in the year?
And only 2.5? They got a bit of money.
Yeah, they do. It's actually probably unders now, given how he's performed. But he rejected that. He was an amateur at the time and thought the PGA Tour would be the best route for him. And he's actually the first player in history to be selected on a Ryder Cup team without making a major championship appearance, and his first professional win only came a matter of weeks ago in Switzerland. So extremely talented. The raps on him are big, and I think he's shown no reason to doubt that he'll hold his own in this Ryder Cup. One thing I will say though is that he's basically equal favourite in the top overall rookie point scorer market at the moment at 460. And I think you'll touch on that later, but perhaps a bit unders. I'll throw one to you, Harry. So USA team selection, did they make the right call picking an out-of-form Justin Thomas over an in-form Keegan Bradley?
The short answer is no. I think Justin Thomas, although he's got a decent record at Ryder Cup, I believe it's 6-2-1, and he's played, compared to Bradley, he's played in more recent Ryder Cups, being the last two. whereas Bradley played in the 2012 Ryder Cup and the 14 Ryder Cup, and he has, I think, a record of 4 and 3 maybe. But Thomas is in the wilderness at the moment with his game, and I just can't see that he'll be able to perform. He's got, he's clearly been picked, and he's going to be paired with Spieth, in my opinion. I think Johnson.
They're great pals.
Has looked at their record together, and they're great mates, and they've performed quite well actually at former Ryder Cups. So I think that's going to be a pairing for them. But if he's putting it into the rough off the tee, sure, and Spieth's having to compensate for that, I think it's just going to be too much, and I think it's a wrong pick. In my opinion.
That 4-ball pairing is a concern for mine for the US, and he's the most debatable selection for sure. Just since the Masters, he's missed 6 cuts, and his best finish in a major this year is tied for 65th. So for mine, I agree with what you're saying. I think it was based on reputation, his selection, and there's been chat about perhaps a bit of a boys' club going on, but I agree for what it's worth. Second question, was Adrian Meronk, the big man from Poland, was he unlucky to miss out on the Euro team, given he's a winner at the course, the Marco Simone Golf Club in the Italian Open, and I believe he was high up on the points list as well. Do you think he should have secured a captain's pick?
Yes, I think he was unbelievably unlucky to be snubbed for a captain's pick. His 4th rankings on the DP World Tour this year. He won at this course this year. I went and saw him actually play in the Oz Open at the end of last year, and his ball striking, although he's got a terrible swing routine.
Takes a while to hit it.
It takes a while. His ball striking was unbelievable, and he seemed to really enjoy and embrace the big moments. And I think he would have been a great pick for this Ryder Cup, and I think he would have thrived at a course he's clearly comfortable at. So I feel that he was extremely unlucky to miss out.
Yeah, we talk about form, don't we, heading into Ryder Cups and a match play scenario, and I think he was one of the form players certainly on the European circuit, the DP World Tour, perhaps even more so than the likes of Højgaard and McIntyre, who I know qualified automatically. But
and Sepp Straka as well.
Sepp Straka, through the US or playing on the PGA Tour, but certainly Sepp Straka, they were the 3 contentious ones. Next question. Given the US team haven't won an away Ryder Cup since 1993, that's a remarkable fact. Do you think that they are too short in the outright market this year, currently sitting at $2.16 last time I looked?
Yeah, I think they've blown out a little bit now. They're at about $2.50. I don't think they're too short. I actually think the teams this year are quite even. They're definitely underdogs in my opinion. It's away from home. They haven't won since '93, like you said. But no, I think it's going to be a lot closer than previous Ryder Cups. So $2.50 at the moment, I don't think it's too short. What do you think?
$2.50 now. Yeah, no, that's probably more reflective, I think, of their chances. We'll move on now to, I suppose, a more in-depth preview of this year's edition of the Ryder Cup. So a bit of an overview.
Before we do, I'll ask you a couple more. Ian Poulter, we've talked about how he's commonly referred to as the postman. He misses out. Do you think anyone will take his mantle in his absence for the European team?
I think probably deserving that he missed out, to be honest, Harry. I think despite being the heartbeat of the European team and as clutch as you say, I think his time in the team, his age, and the fact he's obviously on live all counted against him, and the youngsters on the team are all deserving of their places and certainly possess more upside for mine. So in terms of taking the mantle in his absence, I think Justin Rose is a player who comes to mind for me. Major champion, very experienced Ryder Cupper, and he's got a great record as well. So there's whispers around that Luke Donald might send him out last in the singles, in the Sunday singles. So in the event that it's a tight coming down the stretch, Justin Rose could be the man to bring it home for the Europeans.
And obviously he comes in, as you said, the most experienced in this team, and tight relationship with Luke Donald, having played in many Ryder Cups with him before. So, yeah.
And I think equally as important, he's a cool head, isn't he? He's just calm under pressure and unflappable. So that's very important in match play situations. Did you have one more for me?
Yeah, the last one I had for you as well was outside of the Masters and the Open Championship, is this the next biggest event in professional golf? I know I just said I think it is, but what do you think?
I agree with that 100%. I almost think it's undisputable, undebatable, to be honest. Just the atmosphere that the crowds create in the US, but particularly in Europe, I think, it makes for a great spectacle, and I think the players really enjoy playing in it. All right, so we'll head into a bit of an overview now of this year's edition. So it marks the 44th edition of the Ryder Cup, and it's actually the first to be staged in Italy of all time this year. The Marco Simone Golf and Country Club is where we'll be heading, and it's a par 71 course measuring nearly 7,200 yards. The last three editions of the Italian Open on the European Tour have been held at this venue, with winning scores of 13 under, 14 under and 13 under respectively. So it suggests it's probably a bit of a tough assignment for players, and it's known for its hilly terrain, so this golf course will possess challenges for players. It won't just be a hit and throw darts sort of course. It'll be tough with the rough the course possesses, and prior knowledge of the layout could be key as well, with the European team having 2 or 3 course winners in their midst. So it'll be interesting to see from that standpoint how that holds them. But Harry, did you have I suppose in the US team, did you have any names that stand out to you that are under the spotlight?
Yeah, as we touched on at the start, but Justin Thomas is the big one. He's got that 6-2-1 record, and then in 2018, which was the first Ryder Cup he played in, he was paired with Spieth in all 4-ball and foursomes matches. They won 3 out of the 4 matches, and then in 2021, which is the last Ryder Cup and one he played in, they were again paired together on 2 occasions, both times in foursomes, and they won 1 match. So, like I said, you look at them to get paired together again. I think that's why Johnson's picked him. I think he sees them as a good team, but it's yet to be seen with how Thomas is playing.
Sure. So Max Homa, Brian Harman, Wyndham Clark and Sam Burns make their debut for the US team. So 4 debutants for them. And for Europe, Nikolai Højgaard, Ludwig Aberg, Sepp Straka and Bob McIntyre, the 4 on debut for Europe. So I suppose there's no imbalance there. 4 debutants on each side and the rest experienced campaigners. So it makes for a cracking contest. For me, I want to give a quick mention to Sam Burns. I think shapes as a real wild card in this year's Ryder Cup, given his, I suppose, route in the Dell match play this year. He won all 7 of his matches and thrashed Cameron Young 6-5 in the final. So on the 13th green, he was able to secure the trophy there. And at 27 years old, I think he'll play a really big role in this Ryder Cup. And he will likely be paired with Scotty Scheffler, who will touch on that later on. But I think he'll feature high up in the USA total points scored market, and I think that's fair enough too. So Burns will likely be his partner and will go out in many of the sessions, and I think, one to watch for me. Scotty Scheffler, remarkably only making his 2nd Ryder Cup appearance. Seems like he's been around forever, doesn't it? But a perfect 2-0 record in 2021 I think makes him a really dangerous prospect, and it's just the one thing for him, isn't it? It's the putter.
It's the putter, yeah.
He ranked 151st on strokes gained putting on the PGA Tour this year, and 1st in approach play. So the discrepancy there, if he can just get the putter working, he will be extremely dangerous, and he could feasibly go the whole tournament without losing, in my opinion. Do you have a thought on that?
Yeah, like you touched on, his putter's the biggest worry. I think in this sort of format, that's not necessarily a bad thing. He can get saved by his partner if they're putting well. So if I was the captain, Zach Johnson, I'd be looking at pairing him up with someone who is a great putter. And I don't know the stats on Sam Burns, but from what I've seen from him, he's got a decent putter in his hand.
both very cool heads, so it'd be interesting to see from that perspective. Just another last mention, Jordan Spieth. He's got a good record in the Ryder Cup, 8 wins, 7 losses and 3 halves. However, he's never won a singles match at the Ryder Cup, so there's an interesting one for you. And particularly if the US are heading into Sunday behind, he'll really have to lift his game.
What about Fowler? I've just searched up his record. He's 3-7-5 at Ryder Cups and didn't win his first match until his 3rd Ryder Cup appearance. How do you think he's going to go?
Yeah, well, he's obviously missed the 2018 and 2021 versions due to being out of form, but he's back in it this year. I think there's a certain, point to prove for Ricky Fowler this year, and he's a gritty competitor, and I think he's well suited. He's more mature now, and I think he'll be dangerous for Team USA. We'll head on to Team Europe now. So 3 of the world's top 4 in the European ranks, Jon Rahm, Rory McIlroy and the supremely informed Victor Hovland. As we mentioned, 4 debutants. You wanted to mention Ludwig Aberg as a man to watch out for.
Yeah, Ludwig is the big name for me to follow. He's got to have a lot of pressure on him going into this Ryder Cup. He's only had 3 months on tour, like we've said before. He debuted in June at the RBC Canadian. He's won just under a month ago, I believe it was the start of this month. He won that European Masters, and he's had 3 top 10 finishes since June. So you can't deny his form, but a rookie on tour, it's his first Ryder Cup. He's never really played in an event like this. No President's Cup as his preparation.
Yeah, no match play.
No match play, sorry. Yeah, he can't play obviously in the President's Cup, but no match play experience other than his college days. So it'll be really interesting to see how he goes, at this Ryder Cup.
Sure. Nicolai Højgaard and Robert McIntyre, the 2 European players who have both won on this golf course, Marco Simone in recent years, and they're the homegrown members of the team, given they play on the European circuit. So no doubt the crowds will love their work. Højgaard ranks 15th on the DP World Tour for strokes gained in approach, which will be really a key factor in this year's Ryder Cup with the importance on accuracy and approach. And McIntyre is an elite scrambler, ranking 8th on the DP World Tour. So again, really valuable around the greens. It's as we mentioned in the opener, a really hilly, undulating course. So approach and scrambling really important. And those 2 guys, course form and high up in those 2 key stats, I think expect them to hold their own.
I know you're going to touch on this a little later in buy, hold and sell, but what do you think of Rory McIlroy? I think his form, which is just crazy looking at it now, since May of this year, he's gone T7, T7, T9, second, T7, win, T6, T3, 4, 4, T16, T7, which is just unbelievably good form.
Yeah.
I think he's going to perform pretty well on this stage. What do you think?
Yeah, superb form figures, aren't they? I just sometimes have my queries with Rory on a Sunday closing out the job.
It's a putter as well.
It's the putter for him. We'll touch on it later, but in terms of the top overall point scorer market, I think he was $8.20 earlier in the week on Monday, out to $9.80 now. So perhaps, with the drift, that could be considered some value. The Europeans, one more I want to mention, the spotlight for me firmly on Matt Fitzpatrick. 0 points in 5 matches in 2 appearances in the Ryder Cup in Paris in 2018 and in the US last year. I think so. He hasn't even halved the match in 5 matches, and I think for a now experienced player, Europe will really need him to lift his game. All right, let's get on to some buy and sell segment now. Harry, would you like to kick us off with your buy?
Yeah, sure. So I'm buying the European team captain, Luke Donald. He's mixing up the traditional Friday, Saturday morning order, and he's kicking off with foursomes in the morning.
I think that's a smart move.
Yeah, traditionally, Team Europe has always gone with 4 balls in the morning. I'm not sure why. That's just how they've done it, but he's changed that up this Ryder Cup, and he said that he feels their team is best suited to win foursomes and get off to a hot start. And when it comes to Ryder Cups, getting ahead early is vital. So I'm buying that from Luke Donald.
My buy will be the atmosphere created by the European fans at a home Ryder Cup. It's always a great watch for me, and the chants and the songs that they come up with. It's always great on the first tee and in the first stand. I think if you're a USA player, you'd be pretty nervous, I think, teeing up there with some of the heckling and some of the banter that.
Do you think they do the traditional cheering on the first tee off?
What's it called? The thunderclap or whatever they did in France. I don't know what the name for it is, but certainly will create a fantastic atmosphere. Harry, a sell from you?
Again, I've spoken about it this whole preview, but Justin Thomas as a captain's pick is a sell for me. He's deep in the wilderness, and I think it's just too much of a risk to play him. For me, he's a sell.
So you're saying he should be on a golf cart on the sidelines?
I don't even think he should be there. He should be at home watching it on TV, to be honest.
Fair enough. I'll go my sell, Rory McIlroy. We just mentioned him, top overall point scorer. I think he's drifted now to 980 on the Betfair exchange, but keen to bet around Rory in the favourite. As the favourite in that market, and I think better value can be found elsewhere. All right, we'll touch on our trading strategies for the Ryder Cup.
Can we kick us off?
Friday, absolutely. So I've actually got six strategies. So I'll begin with Justin Rose, top European point scorer at $14 or more. I think he will be tasked with playing a lot of golf, this being the wise head, the oldest, I suppose, statesman of the European team, and I think he'll be critical in them looking to retain gain back the Ryder Cup from the USA. And $14 I think represents some great value. As previously mentioned, he's got a 13 win, 8 losses and 2 halves record in the Ryder Cup, so supreme record, and I think he's a very safe partner. Whoever gets paired with him.
Do you think they pair him with Ludwig as a sort of take the debutant under his wing?
I think there's been a bit of chat that he might be pairing Nicolai Højgaard. I think
like that. Yeah.
So those two will be great. The young kid 21 and the old head 40 plus. I think they'll work really well together. And one a steady hand, and Nicolai sort of the bomber and the one who's able to put them in positions, and it'll just be up to Justin Rose to, I suppose, keep his composure, which that's what he's on the team for. Second player will be Tommy Fleetwood, top European point scorer at $8. I think he's one of those players similar to Ian Poulter who loves the Ryder Cup. He's secured 4 out of 5 points in his debut in 2018, halved his singles match in 2021, and if you can cast your mind back to 2021, that Ryder Cup was a complete rout. I think America won by sort of 8 or 9 points. So for him to halve his singles match showed some good grit there. I think this format really suits him, and $8 again for top European point scorer. Happy to play there. Next player will be Scotty Scheffler, top USA point scorer at $5.50. I think he's a deserving favourite in this market, an unflappable character. I don't think the crowd, any heckling that comes his way, I don't think that'll faze him too much. And yes, as we mentioned, his approach play and ball striking, he'll be peppering the flags, but it's just a matter of if he can convert those. But if he has a solid partner, such as Sam Burns, as we predict, they'll be paired together. I think watch out for him. Next play, Nicolai Højgaard, top overall rookie point scorer at $10. So he won 3.5 points out of a possible 4 in this year's Hero Cup, which, if you can remember, was the, I suppose, Ryder Cup warm-up earlier. I think it was January this year, in which the European prospective players all sort of matched up and played against each other. Continental Europe versus GB and I. And yes, Nicolai was scored 3.5 out of a possible 4 points there, and that's really what would have cemented his place in the team, I think. He's won on this course in 2021 and had a top 5 there at the Marco Simone this year as well. So $10 is value for me in that market. Next bet, Sam Burns, top overall rookie point scorer at $6. Burns was part of the President's Cup win for the US in 2021, and he was actually quite disappointing there. He didn't secure many, if any, points from memory, and he atoned, however, at the match play this year, the WGC match play. As we mentioned, 7-0, completely dominated there. So I think with Scheffler, they'll play a lot of golf. They'll almost be out in every session, and I think $6 represents some value there. And my last play will be the USA to win the day one four balls, $2.50. So surprisingly, the last three Ryder Cups in Europe combined, the USA has a total 8-4 record in points scored in the day one four balls. So a real sort of tip of the scales in their favour there, and I think that's a great bet at $2.50, and they should be shorter in that market. Harry, what have you got in terms of trading strategies for the Ryder Cup?
To kick it off, I'm backing Europe to win the Ryder Cup at $2 or more. I just think at this course, with how they've set it up and the team they've got, I don't see them losing from here. I think I saw a video recently of the rough at Marco Simone on social media, and it looks brutal. So I think they're going to be more accurate off the tee than the Americans, and they're really going to capitalise on that and win. So I'm happy to back them there. I've also got a back bet on Jon Rahm to be the top European scorer. It's $6.20. He won 4 times on tour this year, and his most recent start, he finished 4th, and he has a good record in Ryder Cups. I think last Ryder Cup he went out, won in the morning Fridays with Garcia 3-1, and then he won on Saturday in the mornings 3-1. And in the afternoon with Garcia 2-1.
And I think just touching on that, Jon Rahm in 2018 in his debut, I think he beat Tiger in the singles, which that's what a scalp that is, and that just shows a man built for the big stage, as you say. So.
Yes, I think he's going to really play well there, so I'm happy to back in there. I'm actually going to lay Ludwig for top rookie point scorer at no greater than $5. I think rookie season, rookie appearance, the Ryder Cup, I just think he's too short for someone. I don't doubt he's got amazing ability, but Ryder Cup's a completely different game, so I'm happy to lay him there. I'm happy to back Brian Harman for top rookie point scorer at $11. He's been described as a killer by some. He loves match play.
Well, he hunts animals.
Yeah, so, he does.
He does. Yeah.
He, you saw that at the Open Championship this year. Supposedly, someone yelled out at him from the crowd on the last day, and that just fueled him to win by, what was it, 6 around that.
But he just he got challenged at one stage there, didn't he? And just repelled all the challenges. So he's in career best, isn't he?
Yeah, and he thrives in that environment of people doubting him, and so I really like him at $11. He loves match play, as I said. He prolonged his career at his amateur career at University of Georgia, so that he could play in a third Ryder Cup, a third Walker Cup, in 2009. He was undefeated in foursomes at Walker Cups, 3-0-1. So he loves this style of golf, this match play team format, and I just think he's going to play really well. He's been wanting to play a Ryder Cup for his whole career, and he gets his shot now, and I think he's going to stand up.
$11 does actually sound like good value.
Yeah, and then my last bet, I'm going to back Europe Day 1 foursomes winner at $2.50 plus. I really like them. I think the captain, Luke Donald, as I said before, he's instilling a lot of confidence in his side, changing the format up and saying that they're built for foursomes to go out in the morning. So I'm happy to take Europe there at $2.50.
Yeah, it's interesting the format. I suppose the Europeans have a great record in the foursomes at home in the last 3 Ryder Cups, and America, as I mentioned before, have a great record in the 4-ball format. So that suggests that maybe again it might come down to the singles on on Sunday, and wouldn't that be a fitting way to end the Ryder Cup with another thriller? Harry, it's been great, mate. Enjoy the action kicking off on Friday afternoon, Australian Eastern Standard Time, and tune into the Betfair Hub and the Betfair Exchange for your latest market moves and activity.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.